Today I'm going to be showing you the left-handed knitting tutorial for how to do a no-sew hem. In this case, I'm using this is baby midi skirts. This will work really great for youth midi skirt because it's exactly the same, just a smaller version. So I'm going to show you we're going to talk about the elastic and we're going to talk about doing the hem. So first and foremost, when you get to the point where you're at the measurement where it's time to do your folded hem, if you're going to be using elastic, I chose to use elastic because it just adds a little bit of structure to the hem, and it just does make it stay up a little bit better. So when you're cutting your elastic, you're going to cut it 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters smaller than the waist size that you are working on. So the waist measurement for the size you are working on, you're going to cut it 1 inch smaller, and then you are going to sew that together. I chose to use my sewing machine real quick because I like to use the no roll, because as it gets washed and everything, it gets uncomfortable and the elastic can roll. This one won't roll. Like, it's really, you can't bend. It won't bend. So I choose to use no roll, and no roll is hard to sew through. So I choose to use the sewing machine. You do not need to use a sewing machine. You can use regular elastic and you can hand sew it, and it can be completely ugly. Like, this is not the most beautiful sewing job ever because it's going to be inside the waistband. I highly suggest to not use fabric glue on your elastic. It will not withstand wear and tear and washing. It will not. You need to sew it. But again, 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters smaller than the waist measurement that you are making, and then sew it together. So I am to the point where I am ready to fold over. So we are going to actually hold this inside, and we're going to fold our knitting over that elastic, okay? And I am going to be switching to bigger needles as I go. So we're going to take this first stitch and we are going to knit that together with this stitch right here. I'm going to pick up this stitch, right? This is the first stitch on the cast on. You're going to have both on the needle, and you're going to knit those 2 stitches. Oh my goodness. Pick it up. All right, you're going to take those 2, they're both on the needle, and you're going to knit those 2 stitches together, just like that, around your elastic. So you're going to be working your elastic into the waistband as you go, which will make it easier in the long run. So for the next stitch, we are going to, again, pick up that next stitch on the cast on, and we're going to knit it together with the next stitch on our needle and the next stitch on the cast on. We're going to knit those 2 together. All right, let's see that again. So I have the next stitch. We're going to pick up the next stitch there on the cast on. We're going to knit the next stitch on the cast on with the next stitch on our needle together. Let's try that one more time. So we're going to flip to this side, pick up the next stitch on the cast on, and knit it together with the next stitch on your needle. And you can see from the front, you can't even tell there's anything going on back here. It's like, it looks seamless on the front, and there will be a little bit of a seam on the back. So let's try one more time, and we're still grabbing around this elastic. So we're picking up the next stitch on the cast on, and we're going to knit that together with the next stitch on our needle. Beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and go all the way around. As you go around, make sure this elastic does not twist, okay? If the elastic twists, then it's going to be uncomfortable, and we just don't want to go there, okay? So make sure your elastic doesn't twist as you go around, just like you make sure that your cast on does not twist before you join in the round. That's the same. So I'm going to skip ahead and I'll see you in a minute when I get to the other end. Okay, so we are down to the last 2 stitches. So let's grab those last 2 stitches. There's the one, and there's the last one. Okay, so now my elastic is worked all the way in. You can kind of see if you look through the I-cord hole, you can see my elastic's worked in. You won't see that when you put the I-cord in at the end. You won't be able to see that. So if you're doing a waistband without an I-cord, you obviously wouldn't have those yarn overs, so you wouldn't be able to see it. But now that elastic, you can see, is right there. It's worked in. So now I can throw my beginning of round marker back on, and I can get working onto the remainder of this skirt. And that is what the back side looks like. So it kind of looks like a seam on the back side, but if you look on the front side, you can't even tell. There is no seam, there's no sewing involved, and that is how you do a no-sew hem. This is the hem that I use, this is the method that I use for youth midi skirt, and this is baby midi skirt. So that is the hem that I use for the mini skirts, which you can find on AmandaMMorse.com. You'll be able to find the patterns there. So I hope this was helpful for you today, and happy knitting.